I had a Skype consultation with someone the other day, a great guy from the state of Illinois, and he had 48 questions he wanted to ask me, and I think we got through them all. So it was a great conversation, mostly about PRI, but then it was also about life and the idea of how life experiences can translate into these bodily patterns that we talk about in PRI. And there's no doubt in my mind, because I've had this experience myself, that your emotional life, your traumas, physical and emotional, your experiences all go into patterns, and I think there's probably genetic inheritance as well, judging from my own family, that this all goes into creating patterns, because you have to think of the pattern not just as a structural muscular issue, not just as a purely neurological thought process, but as a fight or flight, a state of anxiety that your body is in, which is equated with sympathetic nervous system, which is that fight or flight. We're always trying to get you out of excessive fight or flight and get you back into a more parasympathetic rest and digested state. And one of the things that I've always been fascinated about, and it's not really talked about too much, but I'm sure there is a big correlation between the two, is obviously the patterns, the left AIC, right BC, right TMCC pattern, and the ego, or your conception of yourself. And I had mentioned that one of the things that I had to do in my life was let go of whoever I thought I was. Now, this could be an extremely long story, and I don't want to make this too long of a video, but what I think often occurs, and I don't think people realize this, is that we often equate ourselves with what we're feeling. And usually what we're feeling in our body is simply the workings of our autonomic nervous system. And that autonomic nervous system obviously includes fight or flight. When we're resting and digesting, we don't really notice it. So I gave the example of, I remember these are things I had all been thinking about, and I was driving on the highway. Everything was great. I was not really aware of myself. I was driving, there was a great song on, I was singing, right? No awareness of my body, no awareness of Neal, until someone cut me off. And once there was a threat detected, I became overly aware of me, because there was a threat to my safety. And now the ego, Neal, comes roaring back. And I'm like, you mother, blah, blah, blah. And I noticed it, and it was just so striking that how I could go from a complete bliss, just unnoticing, completely unaware, just dialed into the music, singing, to threat detection and tension in my body arose so quickly. Now, obviously that was just the fight or flight response, but that fight or flight response can now destroy the rest of your day because you're agitated, if you can't let go of it. And when you are, especially at a young age, when you have no idea of any of this, and quite frankly, I think, unfortunately for most of us, we go into adulthood not understanding any of this either. But when you are exposed too frequently to any type of stress event, and there's a lot of them out there, you start to equate your body's response, this fight or flight, this natural physiologic tension that occurs in your body, which is just the workings of your autonomic nervous system, and you equate them with you. So just like when that car cut me off, my sense of ego, my sense of Neal really became solidified due to the sense of tension that I noticed. Now, that wasn't a direct threat, but what about minor annoyances, like sitting in traffic or New Jersey? If you're in New Jersey and you're trying to get into New York and you are on New Jersey Transit, which is notoriously bad. If you get stuck, you're on your way to work and you're going to be late and you get stuck in the tunnel, you're going to be really agitated and anxious. So you could think, oh, this, getting stuck in a tunnel is horrible. However, what if you're on your way home from work, you get stuck in a tunnel, and you happen to be sitting next to an attractive young lady or attractive young man, whatever you want, and you strike up a conversation? It's not so bad. So it's very conditional. Traffic in one instance could be the death of us. Traffic in another instance could be awesome. So everything is conditional, and that conditional, not understanding the conditionality of life, makes you think that you are something solid, concrete, and unchanging, when in reality that is not the case whatsoever. If you get into a situation that you're exposed to numerous times and you have no understanding of how this tension inside your body means really nothing. It really means nothing. Suppose you're in an embarrassing situation, or someone makes fun of you when you're young, or you get beaten up in front of other people and you feel humiliated. All you're feeling is a sense of tension, which is the sympathetic nervous system, trying to protect you from harm. But then you take it as you. So anytime you get into a public situation, your brain is remembering, because you're always working on memories. Your brain is remembering what it was like when you were in front of people and that horrible experience. And now it becomes you, and you say, oh, I, Neal, can't do this, because you feel the tension. Not realizing that it's just the sympathetic nervous system trying to protect me. When you can disassociate yourself from what you're feeling, that's when you really liberate yourself. That's when the ego is let go of, which you need to do if it's holding you back. And again, so there's 3 books that can really help you with this, and I will put them in the link, in the description. The first book is The Master and His Emissary. The second book is The Origin of Consciousness in the Breakdown of the Bicameral Mind. It's a mouthful. And then the third one is How Emotions Are Made. All 3 books agree that our mind constructs experience. From what we're feeling, we interpret our feelings as something, and from memory. And the ability to do this is a uniquely human trait, a talent. However, it often misconstructs experiences that we then take for real. So we're never actually experiencing reality. We are experiencing a construction of reality. And if you think that's abstract and kind of BS, read about the visual system. Because if you read about the visual system, you will realize you are not seeing anything. You are seeing your brain's best guess at what you're looking at. So it's there. So the mind constructs experience, and the mind did not come before the body. The mind is constructed on top of the energies of the body. When we misinterpret the energies of the body, it gives us a faulty representation of what we are experiencing or who we are based on these experiences. And all the spiritual traditions, especially of the East in terms of Buddhism, such as Buddhism, is trying to separate you from that, making you realize you are not that. You are not Neal in the way that you think you are not that nervous, anxious Neal. That's just nothing. That's just a natural physiologic process that you're identifying with, and then it carries you away into memories of situations that were painful, and you get all wrapped up in it and it becomes your reality. When in fact, all you're doing is interpreting, giving meaning to bodily sensations, and that's really all it is.